Good morning, everyone. My chapters, it's very hard, was about arguing. And I was like, okay. When she's like, I want you to do these two chapters, it was about be slow to argue and never tell someone that they're wrong. Like, don't say you're wrong. And I was like, oh, but I'm not good at this, so I don't know. I'm like, okay, Holy Spirit, you're going to help me. And it's been really enlightening because it makes you, when you meditate on something, it's or when you read something, when you're studying something, it's in your mind. So like when you're having a conversation with someone, or even the smiling. I read the smiling chapter, and now whenever I'm out in public, I'm always like thinking of, oh, am I smiling at people? And it's like, it's cool when you study something out that it actually helps you. I'm going to start with this awesome quote. Even when we believe another is wrong, there is only one way to guarantee an inevitable end to an interaction and all chance of connection or meaningful collaboration. And that is to tell the other person that we think so. In most disputes, our differences with others are far subtler than we allow ourselves to see, which is true. If you think about it, like an argument over, like if somebody doesn't shut the cabinets, or like what you're gonna eat, or like something that somebody did yesterday. It's like, do we really need to argue about this? Like, it already happened. That's what I would say. It already happened. Do we need to go back to it? So I have a cool example. Hold on. What color is this paper? Blue. What if I were to tell you, I knew somebody was going to say white. It's blue. It's blue. I tried to color it. What if I were to tell you that it's red? You would say it's blue. And we could argue about it for 10 minutes on how I say it's red, but you say it's blue. What if we just switch perspectives? So a lot of times we're arguing with someone when their point of view, their perspective is completely different. And we both might be right, but we're not thinking about the other person's point of view. I thought that was really cool. I saw that online, and I was like, I'm going to use that. Yeah, I totally created that idea. Holy Spirit still showed it to me through online. Holy Spirit can use many ways to show stuff to you. And a lot of times mine are online. Or through, like, conversation. Like, I don't even know that I know something until I start talking about it. I'm like, oh. The dispute can fall into the trap of I'm right and you're wrong because neither will consider the alternative, that perhaps both are right. Arguing with another person will rarely get you anywhere, as we all know, but we still do it. They usually end with each person more firmly convinced of his rightness. You may be right, dead right, but arguing is just as futile as if you were dead wrong. Which, I feel like we all know this, but we do it anyway. And I'm here to encourage you to like try to think about when you're in the midst of an argument that it's really true. When you enter an argument and you think you're right, like the other person's wrong, I need to correct them, you do end up thinking you're right by the end. Like neither of you are going to change by arguing. It's hard to remember, though, when you're in the middle of it. Tension and conflict occur when you and or those with you discard the notion that others also have inner wisdom that ought to be heard. I'm going to read part of the book because this book is, I encourage you guys to get this book because you know stuff, but then when you read it, it makes like so much more sense. Like about smiling, or about taking interest in others, or about, he talks about listening and just how to connect with people. And I've learned so much, and I thought I already knew how to connect with people, but it teaches you a lot that you think you know, but you don't actually. At the heart of the assertion that others are wrong is actually an unspoken admittance that we don't want to be rejected. It is in the spirit of not wanting to be wrong ourselves that we project that role on others. I'm going to say that again. That was so good. At the heart of the assertion that others are wrong is actually an unspoken admittance that we don't want to be rejected. It is in the spirit of not wanting to be wrong ourselves that we project that role on others. And they give a story here about Dale Carnegie himself. He said, shortly after the close of World War I, Dale, he was in the business manager of Sir Ross Smith. During the war, Sir Ross had been an Australian ace out in the Palestine. Shortly after peace was declared, he astonished the world by flying halfway around it in 30 days. No such feat had ever been attempted before. It created a tremendous sensation. The Australian government awarded him $50,000. The King of England knighted him, and for a while he was the talk of the global town. Carnegie was attending a banquet one night given in Sir Ross's honor, and during the dinner, the man sitting next to him told a humorous story that hinged on the quotation, "There is divinity that shapes our ends, rough hew them how we will." The raconteur, I think that's how you say that word, mentioned that the quotation was from the Bible. He was wrong, and Carnegie knew it positively. By his own admission, he appointed himself an unsolicited and unwelcome committee of one to correct the storyteller. The other man stuck to his guns. From Shakespeare, absurd. That quotation was from the Bible, and the man knew it. Frank Gammond, an old friend of Carnegie's, was seated to his left. Gammond had devoted years to the study of Shakespeare, so the storyteller and Carnegie agreed to submit the question to the expert. Mr. Gammond listened, kicked Carnegie under the table, and then said, "Dale, you were wrong. The gentleman is right. It is from the Bible." On their way home that night, Carnegie said to Mr. Gammond, "Frank, you knew that quotation was from Shakespeare." "Yes, of course," he replied. "Hamlet, Act 5, Scene 2. But we were guests at the festive occasion, my dear Gale. Why prove to a man he's wrong? Is that going to make him like you? Why not let him save his face? He didn't ask for your opinion. He didn't want it. Always avoid the acute angle." It taught Carnegie a lesson he never forgot. Telling people they are wrong will only earn you enemies. Few people respond logically when they are told they are wrong. Most respond emotionally and defensively because you are questioning their judgment. I thought that was a great story. I have to take that because it's so hard, because I don't know about anybody else, but I love learning like weird facts about whether it's movies, books, or just like random stuff. So I know a lot of random facts, and I know details about a lot of stuff. So when a friend or somebody will be talking about someone or something, and it's so hard not to correct them, because like I know I'm right, but really it's really pointless to correct them because they didn't ask for your opinion. Like, it's not gonna hurt them if they're wrong in that case scenario. So it's good to remember that. More often than not, it is because we correct people because we value personal victory over collaborative possibility. Where you, in fact, might be right and the other person wrong, there is no sense in denting a person's ego or permanently damaging our relationship. That's so good. I was watching, actually, the Holy Spirit likes to show me in random spots about what I'm teaching. I just wait, like a week before I teach. If I know the subject, the Holy Spirit will like slide things in, whether it's conversations or videos that I watch, or just, I found this scrolling on social media, and it's just like, I just wait for it because I know it's coming. And I was watching a minister, I don't remember his name, and he was talking about marriage, and he said, a lot of times we can either be right or we can be happy. And he said, the happiest couples, if you go up and ask them, when was the last time you were right? They're like, I don't know. Because you could either be right or you can be happy. Two people can't fight if one person doesn't want to. And I love that. Two people can't fight if one person doesn't want to. If you come to a conversation, you're like, I'm not going to argue with this person. And they could be like blowing up in your face and you just be like, nah. And the argument just, it dies because two people can't fight if one person doesn't want to. I'm not saying that's easy to not be right all the time, because it's not easy. But you can be right or be happy. The best solution, wisest decision, and brightest idea nearly always exist outside of what one party brings to the table. Yet we find it quite easy to declare another person wrong, often before we've taken the time to consider what he or she is saying. One great example that I love was I was at a conference, I think 2 years ago, and I don't know, a bunch of you know who Michael Koulianos is. He was here. He was talking about Kenneth Copeland, who is, as we know, a father in the faith. He's very wise minister. And Kenneth actually, I'm going to say Mr. Copeland, I don't like calling him Kenneth. Mr. Copeland came to Mr. Koulianos, and he asked him, he said, Michael, I see what's on you, and I need you to teach a course on worship and send it to me. Now, this man I think he's in his 80s, and yet he is still going to a younger minister saying, I need you to teach me something. He's not thinking, oh, I know it, I'm this age, I think I know everything by now. He sees what's in another person, and he's saying, I need you to teach me about this, I'm lacking in it. And I just thought it made me honor him even more, because that's just amazing that he's humble in that way. This expectation of knowledge tends to work against us in interactions because it closes off our mind to the possibility that we exist outside of the knowledge that we bring to the table. So, I'm just going to read the next section and then I'll explain. All effective problem-solving, collaboration, and dispute resolution begins with an emptying of the mind of what we know or what we think we should know. This can feel incredibly unnatural because we have been trying to demonstrate what we think, to show our knowledge, our smarts. We think, therefore we talk. It's so true. When we think, therefore we talk. I feel like we've been trained that. When you know about a subject, you want to talk about it. You want to share your knowledge with someone else. And it shows smarts. It shows, you know something. But a lot of times, we don't know as much as we think we know. And it's to come to approach a conversation with a blank slate, to empty our minds, to think oh, maybe they have something they can teach me, no matter if they're younger or older than us, is a good habit that I feel like we should learn to develop. And it definitely messes with your mind. It's backwards. I'm older. Why would they teach me something? Or I think I know more on that subject than you do. Why? But they might have a different perspective. In approaching a conversation with a blank slate, we take a humbler and more honest approach. We acknowledge the possibility that we might not know all of the facts and that we may not in fact be the only one right. So good. So I just encourage you guys that this week and even just for the rest of the year, just for the rest of your lives, just try to think, let this go in your heart, and think about when you're getting into an argument or you feel yourself wanting to correct someone, just think, is it gonna hurt them for being wrong about this? Are they just quoting something wrong? Value relationships more than being right. And try not to think of yourself so much, even though it's hard. Remember, be right or be happy.